Hello, welcome to the Belk on Business podcast. This is Josh Belk, and I appreciate you joining the show today, and I hope to provide value to you on this episode. If you do get value out of this episode, please do me a huge favor and make sure to subscribe to this podcast. And if you're on Apple Podcast, leave me a 5-star review. Thanks again for listening, and enjoy the show. Hello, thank you for listening once again to the Belk on Business podcast. And today we're going to talk a little bit about improving the hiring process. And so, one thing that we all have a difficult time doing sometimes is finding good employees. But I think there's a few things, and I think there's kind of a couple of ideas here that maybe you'll find helpful, or maybe you want to implement in your business when it comes to hiring. It's something I don't see necessarily too often, but maybe some things you'll want to consider. First of all, when hiring, don't hire people just like you. The last thing I think is probably good for any business to have a bunch of people that all kind of think the same way. And you kind of end up in this rut, or even in this groupthink mentality that kind of everybody's just thinking the same way. You're not getting any sort of positive, effective feedback, or many times even that accountability needs to be there. In my office here, there are 3 of us, and that are here day in and day out, and every single one of us, we all think and look at things in a different way. And unfortunately, we have the ability to be able to kind of get in each other's face when we need to, hold each other accountable when we need to. But when you're in that hiring process, you want to think about, okay, is this person, or they kind of think just like me? And naturally, we want to kind of hire people, just like us. Of course, we're wanting to hire people that fit in our culture, that have common core values. Those things are ultimately important. But beyond that, you'll want to look and say, okay, does this person look at things just like I do? Or is this person are they able to kind of look at things in a little bit of a different way, and be able to help me as a business owner, to help other people in our business be able to kind of think through things and look at things in a little bit of a different way. And maybe hiring different age groups, if you're a Generation X, like myself, maybe you want to kind of maybe bring in a millennial that'll look at things a little bit differently. If you're a baby boomer, maybe you want to bring in somebody who's a Generation X that may look at things in a little bit of a different way than you do. People that have different methods of interaction. People who can teach others to be able to interact with other people in the office in a different way, maybe in a more, even in a non-traditional way. Different methods of work, different way, maybe can bring in different ways that work can be managed. Different ideas, different philosophies as far as on how to do the work. So when hiring, don't hire people just like you. Secondly, definitely do hire for culture and attitude. I mentioned this just a little bit ago as far as, when you talk about do their core values align, that's extremely important. But you want to hire for culture and for attitude. And sometimes this is difficult when you bring somebody in and you're doing an interview. Of course, they're always going to put their best foot forward. It can be very difficult as far as trying to determine whether or not they have the right type of attitude, which really means you need to have a lot of experience, maybe lengthen your hiring process, maybe implement some tools that can help you figure out whether or not this person has the right attitude that you're looking for, and also if they're going to be a good culture fit. Now, nowadays, there's a lot of maybe different types of tests, different methods you can use in your interview process to figure out whether or not this person might be a good culture fit or have a good attitude as it relates for your business. Third, allow team members. This is where I think maybe you can get a little bit creative. Allow for your team members to be involved in the hiring process. So somebody that's working for you, maybe they're not necessarily going to make the decision, but allow for them to get in the hiring process. Take them with you. If you're meeting them just here a couple months ago, I was considering bringing somebody else onto the team, and I literally brought somebody in my office with me. I wanted them there to have that interaction, and we were able to have a conversation afterwards if we thought that this person would be a good fit or not. So bring them along. Allow for them to be involved in that, not just in the interview, but even beyond that. Maybe allow for them to have some one-on-one time, to where they can have the dialogue so that person can be more transparent with their questions. Hey, is this really a place I want to work? Is your boss a jerk? Okay, and to be able to kind of have those types of conversations and allow for your people to have it. I think it's also a good litmus test. If you're a business owner and you're scared to have your employees have that one-on-one dialogue, maybe you need to have a little bit of a self-check on whether or not that you have the right type of culture in your business. I would encourage my employees to go and have that one-on-one interaction and be very transparent about what is it like to work for me? What is it like what's the culture like in our business? And then for them to provide feedback, hey, I think this person would be a good fit for us. They do have good core values, because many times they can go and you can learn a lot more when you're comfortable with someone. And so if they're kind of there and they don't feel quite as threatened or have to put on as much of a show, many times you can learn more about that person. Allow your team members to help you in that way. Also, furthermore, this also will help in the buy-in. If you're bringing somebody else in, they don't feel as threatened when you're bringing somebody else into the business. Fourth, want your people to win. When you're going through and you're bringing somebody in, come with the attitude of, I want that person to win as well. I'm not just looking at them as a person to come in and work for me and make me more money, whatever the case may be. And of course, we can have that type of pragmatic approach. But ultimately, when I'm hiring, I want to bring people in. I also want them to win. I want them to be able to meet whatever goals that they're wanting, that they have for their life. They have goals, they have vision, they have accomplishment they want to achieve. And you know what? As a business owner myself, I want them to be able to accomplish what they want to accomplish. And then lastly, find out what your people are passionate about in the community and get involved. And you're saying, well, how does this work in the hiring process? Well, first of all, with your existing people, okay, if you're getting involved in the community, many times your best referrals can come when you're involved with them. And then you've kind of built a culture of, as a business owner, I want to be able to care about and get involved in the things that they care about. So when a person comes in, that's kind of a good way of finding out whether or not they're a good culture fit. Hey, what sort of things are you involved with in the community? What are you passionate about? And then you can also say, hey, as a business, we really get involved in the different areas that our employees are really truly care about and are concerned about. And then when you get out there kind of on the front line in the community with them, you end up meeting with people. And many times you can get some of your best hire. You don't have to end up having to go and online and try to obtain a bunch of, resumes and kind of weed through all this. Many times you end up getting introduced to people who have kind of common core values just because you're in the same place with them. So just a few different ideas, maybe when you go about your hiring process, maybe an item or two maybe you want to implement in your business that relates to hiring. Hope this brought some value to you. I encourage you, if you aren't subscribed to the Belk on Business podcast, to consider doing so. My name is Josh Belk. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.